So you mean to tell me, and this is not me taking shots at anybody who said it, but you mean to tell me that a guy who has dedicated his life and his career to the game and the development of players has chosen Shedeur Sanders as the one to sabotage? The son of an NFL legend? The game that...
Man, we got to talk about this quarterback situation that's going on in Cleveland. And Kevin Stefanski had an interview today with Cleveland Browns Associated Press, and he said some very interesting things at his press conference. And a lot of people think that he's sabotaging Shedeur Sanders to big up Dylan.
Kevin Stefanski has finally done it. He's achieved the coaching equivalent of microwaving a steak, something that takes real effort to mess up, but boy, did he commit. I mean, Browns fans thought they'd seen everything. Quarterbacks coming and going like cheap rental cars, playbooks that look like IKEA instructions, and press conferences that feel like hostage videos. But now, Stefanski has managed to turn Shedeur Sanders' NFL hopes into an early cautionary tale. Congratulations, coach. You've made the guy who resurrected Cleveland football look like he's auditioning for a reboot of Coach Clueless.
Can you address this sort of persistent narrative that you're trying to sabotage Shedeur Sanders, especially after yesterday and not putting him in for the 2-minute?
Yeah, obviously, I don't concern myself with outside type of things, but I'm committed to his development, just like all of our rookies. So we'll continue to focus on getting our guys better.
Now, those of you guys who thought that the Cleveland Browns was going to go into this offseason with all these quarterbacks, I'm here to tell you you're wrong. Kevin Stefanski just wrapped up an interview earlier today, kind of detailing his method and pretty much what these next couple of weeks may be. Now, he stated verbatim, he can't keep everybody. Now, we know Dylan Gabriel went out there and did what he did yesterday, and to me, Shedeur Sanders looked 20 to 30 times better than this young man. Now, I am here.
Let's be clear. Shedeur Sanders isn't just another quarterback project. This kid was hyped as one of the future faces of the league, the son of Deion Sanders, raised in the primetime spotlight with the confidence of someone who has never once worried about getting the last chicken wing at the table. His college resume had half the league drooling. The talent's there, the charisma's there, the ceiling is practically orbiting Jupiter. And then he walks into Cleveland where dreams go to die, and boom, Stefanski hands him a clipboard like it's a participation trophy.
When Shedeur Sanders ended the game, the offensive coordinator must have went to sleep or something. Straight up like that. I don't know what happened, what was going on. Or the receiver coach took over the play calls for the first time in his career. Things changed for the offense when Shedeur Sanders came into that game. All of a sudden, when Shedeur enters the game, the Browns are a pass first team, run second. I sure didn't like the sequence of play calling when Shedeur Sanders entered the game. Pass first, run second. That is never the Cleveland Browns model. And to me, that play calling was done intentionally. I said watch out for unusual play calling when Shedeur is playing. Then I'm thinking,
Oh, but don't worry, because the coach has a plan. Yeah, the same kind of plan you hear when a magician says, pick a card, and then forgets the trick halfway through. Stefanski apparently thinks Shedeur's future is best spent watching from the sidelines, while Dylan Gabriel, yes, that Dylan Gabriel, gets the QB2 spot. Nothing against Gabriel, he's fine. He's serviceable. He's like the Kirkland signature brand of quarterbacks. But Shedeur Sanders being benched for him? That's like leaving Beyonce off the stage so your cousin's garage band can close Coachella.
Look, I just watched what happened to Shedeur Sanders in the Cleveland Browns' third and final preseason game. And I'm outraged, I'm sickened, and I'm saddened. By the way, Shedeur continues to be treated in the National Football League now by those sorry-ass Browns and sorry-ass Kevin Stefanski.
Let's give him a chance. Let's give him a chance with the play calling. You know you have an offensive line that isn't playing that well. So what do? Why not just play the short game so he can get the ball out of his hands very fast to run a competent goddamn offense? Outside of that, Shedeur has to be better in understanding that the offensive line that you're working with right now is not adequate. Why not allow the players that are competing for a job in this instance, Shedeur Sanders, to finish off the 2-minute drill. Who makes that call? He makes that call. Why? Because I want the last thing people to see is the mistakes and the sacks that happen.
And Browns fans aren't taking it quietly. Oh no, they're demanding Stefanski's head on a platter, which is hilarious because these are the same fans who, not long ago, were building shrines to the guy for winning Coach of the Year. Now they're ready to ship him out of town on the same U-Haul that carried Baker Mayfield's Heisman commercials out of Cleveland. The city's collective patience with quarterbacks is thinner than gas station coffee, and Stefanski just threw their shiny new toy into the back of the closet. You'd think the Browns, of all teams, would understand quarterback trauma. These people have a graveyard of jersey names longer than a CVS receipt. And yet, when given the rare chance to nurture someone who could actually be great, Stefanski decides to play quarterback musical chairs, except the music stopped and somehow Shedeur's left, holding a clipboard instead of a helmet. Bravo.
Things that Kevin Stefanski is saying and the way he's going about things, some things are just not adding up. And Ryan Clark of ESPN basically exposed Kevin Stefanski this morning on Get Up. He had a very interesting take on Kevin Stefanski's motive. Also, this is all surrounded around naming Joe Flacco QB1 for opening day against Cincinnati.
Now, here's where it gets absurd. Stefanski keeps insisting this is about development. Development? The man says it with the confidence of a dad who just bought a treadmill he'll never use. Look, development in the NFL usually means you get some reps, some exposure, you learn under fire. It doesn't mean your rookie year highlight reel consists entirely of high fives and Gatorade handoffs. If Shedeur wanted to develop by not playing, he could have just gone to Harvard Business School. And let's not pretend this isn't a PR nightmare. Deion Sanders is somewhere in Colorado, looking at this decision like someone just keyed his brand new Lamborghini. You know Deion, he doesn't exactly do quiet disappointment. I fully expect a fiery Instagram live session with more smoke than a Cleveland steel mill. And honestly, I can't blame him. If I were Deion, I'd be furious too. My son's NFL career is being babysat by the guy who once thought a trick play on 4th and 9 was innovative.
Kevin Stefanski clapped back this morning saying he's not trying to sabotage Shedeur. Tyler Huntley was released yesterday, Ocho. You know you're going to waive Tyler Huntley. So what good did that 2-minute drive do for him? Doesn't it seem it would have been more beneficial for Shedeur to get the 2-minute drill, because that's a situation that he might find himself in during the regular season if something were to happen to the quarterbacks in front of him, right, as opposed to Snoop Huntley?
Absolutely. But one thing we don't know is we don't know how that.
Meanwhile, the fans have had it. The calls for Stefanski's firing are growing louder than the dog pound after 6 Bud Lights. They're tweeting, they're posting memes, they're writing open letters like it's 2007 and MySpace is still a thing. At this point, Cleveland Twitter could probably draft a better offensive scheme than Stefanski. Just roll out a poll. Who should be quarterback 2? Boom. Done. Democracy works better than whatever this man is cooking up.
I think the Cleveland Browns are going to stink, and I think they deserve to stink.
Will Kevin Stefanski have his job at the end of this year if it's another disaster?
I was going to say no off gut instinct, but the way things are running down there, maybe. I'm not a Stefanski guy, but it's like, look around the room, man.
I think the fans in the past would have been like, okay, the head coach is the issue. But they're looking at this roster, they're like, this roster stinks. It's not the head coach's fault.
What kills me is Stefanski's complete poker face. The man delivers press conferences like he's reading IKEA assembly steps out loud. Yeah, we believe Dylan Gabriel gives us the best chance at this moment. Sure, coach. And I believe my toaster gives me stock tips. Watching him talk about quarterback decisions is like listening to someone explain why they invested in Blockbuster stock in 2023.
Cleveland Browns head coach Stefanski refuses to answer Shedeur questions about who's going to get the first rep or who's going to take this amount of reps or lineups and stuff like that. And you should have been prepared for all of this. Right when we saw that moment when you drafted him and y'all looked at disinterested.
And let's not forget, this isn't just about Shedeur. This is about the future of the Browns. Because once again, the franchise has managed to take hope, sweet, fragile hope, and stomp on it like a toddler with a juice box. Every time the Browns have a chance to move forward, they somehow trip over their own shoelaces. And Stefanski? He's the guy holding the laces. So now the clock is ticking. The fan base wants change, Shedeur deserves better, and Stefanski's seat is hotter than a Cleveland sidewalk in July. If he doesn't fix this fast, he might be the one holding the clipboard by mid-season. Unfortunately for him, there's no backup coach position in the NFL.
What's going on, guys? This your boy John the Liquidator coming back with another video, and it looked like Kevin Stefanski is in some serious, serious hot water after pretty much confirming Shedeur Sanders and other quarterbacks could be on the chopping block. Guys, for
Browns are making their apparent quarterback news this week. I believe Kevin Stefanski said that after the preseason contest with the Browns. Boy, I wished Shedeur was healthy so we could see how he's following up. You know,
Yeah, we talked about that all last week, especially with the Miz here. Obviously, a huge Browns fan. Just a bummer that the momentum from week one got kind of derailed.
I still don't think, no matter at Shedeur, again, that game went down just before I left for my week off. He looked really, really smooth and good.
At the end of the day, here's the reality. You don't draft a quarterback like Shedeur Sanders just to let him gather dust on the sidelines. You don't promise the future and then deliver the present equivalent of stale potato chips. Browns fans have been through too much for this nonsense. Stefanski better figure it out quick, because right now, the only thing he's developing is a reputation for sabotaging talent.
We'll just wait for Shedeur to go ahead and do that so we take no flack at all for asking that question. It's kind of genius on everyone involved.
I actually think with Shedeur,
you got one guy that kamikazes himself consistently, but everyone just kind of lets it go because it's what he's been doing forever, and no one else has to take any heat.
I don't think he kamikazes himself at all. I think he kamikazes the situation, and then whatever frustration, anger, whatever, it's like Teflon. It doesn't stick to him. When guys get mad to him, it doesn't really do anything.
You can't bother him at all because it's just the way that he goes about it. It's awesome.
And we need Jeff Shedeur.
And if he keeps this up, don't be surprised if Shedeur Sanders' highlight reel winds up being played in another city, for another team, with another coach who actually knows how to use him. Because Cleveland might love its misery, but even they know when it's time to fire the chef before he burns down the kitchen.